For a team wanting to push for a playoff spot, the Kings did a pretty good job of waving the white flag yesterday. The Clippers blow a 25-point lead, and that still isn't even the worst thing that happened to them on Friday. And the Chargers keep their plan B if Omarion Hampton gets injured again. Good morning. I'm James. And this is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. So it is March 7, 2026. Welcome back to the home office. We got a lot to talk about, so if you like being in the know about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop an update. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. By all means, comment. Now, before we go through the news and notes, we have a quick look at the scoreboard. Lakers 128, Indiana 117. Luka Doncic scored 44 points. And as previously mentioned, the Clippers blew a 25-point lead when they lost to San Antonio 116 to 112. The less said about that game, the better. We'll also say what's going on that's even worse for the Clippers in a few minutes. Meanwhile, today, the Clippers are at Memphis at 5. Montreal is at the Kings at 4. UCLA at USC at 6. This is the regular season finale for both teams. USC was on a path to get to the NCAA tournament, and they have lost 6 in a row. Meanwhile, the Bruins are kind of shaky on the road, but they're going to be out for blood because they still want to improve their tournament resume. It's Galaxy game day. They are at Colorado at 6:30. FC Dallas is at LAFC at 7 o'clock. So with that out of the way, what do you say we get to the news? 3 transactions, 3 deals, and 0 plan. That is how I would say the Kings behaved at the trade deadline. Because it all started Thursday. Warren Fogle was sent to Ottawa for a second rounder. We talked about that on yesterday's clip. But with yesterday's NHL trade deadline coming up, Corey Perry netted yet another second rounder, this one from Tampa Bay. Then they went out, they acquired Scott Laughton from Toronto for a conditional third rounder. Now the condition is this: if the Kings make the playoffs, the Maple Leaves. Memo to Canada, the plural of leaf is leaves. We'll get a second rounder instead. But LA is 3 points out of a playoff spot, so the Kings would have to rally. And frankly, I don't think they can. Because in sending out Fogle, who's 29, and yet adding the 31-year-old Laughton, the Kings didn't exactly go with a youth movement. Even if you say, well, they traded away Corey Perry, who's 40. Not exactly getting that younger. If this were a couple of years ago, when the Kings had this prospect pool that was the envy of the rest of the NHL, yeah, you'd be saying, you know what? I can live with a youth movement. But that's not true because they don't have those prospects. Former GM Rob Blake squandered the prospects with one bad trade after another. And by the way, with Laughton at age 31, you can't say this is our replacement when Anze Kopitar retires either. It's almost as if when the Kings grabbed Artemi Panarin before the Olympic break, they thought they were in win-now mode. Then Kevin Fiala's leg disintegrated at the Olympics. And ever since, let's be real, we face reality on this channel. The Kings are flailing. Hell, they've been flailing, I would say as a franchise, they've been flailing away ever since Jarrett Stoll got arrested on a drug charge in Las Vegas back in 2015. Where has the plan been? There was a time when you could have said Perry, at age 40, I might add, was the Kings' best forward. Not Kopitar, not even Quentin Byfield. And then, of course, Perry remembered he's not LeBron James on skates, and then he faded into the bushes like the Homer Simpson meme. The Kings are old on defense. After the trade deadline, all of their offensive lines are thinner, and they don't even know who the long-term solution is going to be in net. That is the state of Kings hockey. Consider this. Alex Turcotte started the season as the fourth line center. Now he's next to Anze Kopitar. He's the center for the number 2 line. Now, there were analysts that said that the Kings made trades that made sense. I would agree with that only if I knew what the hell the Kings are trying to accomplish. Can you tell me what they're trying to accomplish? Because I don't think they can. Now, look, at this moment, LA has their first round pick for this upcoming draft, which, let's be real, probably going to be in the lottery. They also have 3 second rounders. So you might be saying, okay, well, wait, that's a reason for optimism, right? 3 second rounders, you got to find good talent there. But actually, history tells you that second round picks in the NHL draft are kind of meh. In the NFL, if a second rounder doesn't start relatively quickly, it's a blown pick. But the HockeyWriters.com ran the numbers. Second rounders only have a 2/3 shot, 66% chance of actually making it to the NHL for one game. Now, as for a long-term career, 1 in 4 only get to play, say, 4 NHL seasons. 25% chance that you have a legitimate chance at a career if you're a second round pick. Now, you might say the Kings could rebuild on the fly in the offseason, right? Because if the salary cap passes $100 million, as analysts are suggesting, the Kings should have about $50 million in cap space, which sounds amazeballs, until you realize that it's easier for other teams to also retain their potential free agents when that cap for them is also over $100 million. If you remember, going into the season, people needed a bottle of lotion and their least favorite sock because everybody was thinking about the idea of Connor McDavid in LA, Kirill Kaprizov coming to LA. Nope, not happening. They re-signed. So what are we talking about here? In the grand scheme of things, the Kings neither failed the trade deadline nor did they pass the trade deadline. They went neither young nor veteran. They didn't go with a deeper offense or a younger defense. The Kings made a bunch of trades that were just there. Now, the Kings did add a forward in free agent Matthew Joseph, who was a 2-time Stanley Cup champion, last seen in St. Louis, Missouri, but he only scored twice. So, again, what is the plan? If you're a Kings fan, let me know. I'd love to hear it. We mentioned the Clippers earlier. The podcaster who originally reported/accused the Clippers of using a company to circumvent the NBA salary cap and pay Kawhi Leonard now says that the Securities and Exchange Commission knew of this accusation back in 2023, a full 2 years before it became news on ESPN. Now, the SEC did bring charges against the CEO of this green energy financier, Aspiration. They alleged Aspiration was committing fraud with the company finances, cooking the books, if you will. But the charges did not mention the Clippers. The charges didn't mention the Clippers, and the SEC did not verify the accusations against the basketball team. They were going after the company. They didn't give a bleep about the NBA. Basically, what this report from this whistleblower is saying that they're suggesting Steve Ballmer kept these tree-hugging frostards afloat on purpose so that they could use it to launder money to eventually go to Kawhi Leonard, who wanted to be paid more by doing nothing. Now, these reports, I presume, are also a way to keep the pressure on the NBA to punish somebody with the Clippers. I know the NBA would darn sure want to push this bad boy under the rug. But unfortunately, that's not appearing to happen. Speaking of the Clippers, yesterday I admitted not having all the answers. I reported a guy on the Clippers, Yannick Conan Niederhauser, that his foot was injured, but I was also wondering who the hell Yannick Conan Niederhauser was, and I have no bleeping clue. I can now tell you he was a rookie. And by the way, that explains why he's such a man of mystery, because let's be real, if you've been watching Clippers basketball at all, they never wanted to play anybody younger than 55. That old ass roster, they never wanted to play anybody younger than somebody getting their AARP until about 3 weeks ago. What I also can tell you is Niederhauser is officially done for the year, because now that he finally got to play, he injured his foot, he's going to have surgery, so there's no point in learning anything else about him. Got a lot of Chargers news to discuss. The Chargers tendered running back Kamani Vidal as an exclusive rights free agent. This means he won't be able to negotiate with other teams. He is going to be back as Plan B should Omarion Hampton get injured again. Vidal started the season last year on the practice squad, but when Hampton and Najee Harris both got hurt, he wound up starting 10 games and rushed for 645 yards. The Bolts also re-signed running back Jarrett Patterson and safety Kendall Williamson, but that's not exactly needle-moving stuff for a team that is closing in on $100 million in cap space after recent cuts. So, yeah, I'm not really worrying all about that. Here's the thing. We normally don't talk about Raiders football on this channel. They're in Vegas. I know they used to play in LA. When I was a scribe, I covered the then Los Angeles Raiders. But if you're a Charger fan, I want to send a shot across the bow to be prepared for something. If the Chargers have any free agents that they really want to keep, handle it before Monday. Because one of the benefits that the Raiders get from last night's blockbuster trade, where they sent Max Crosby to Baltimore, it's not just the 2 first-round picks. Baltimore picked up the guy's entire salary. This adds another $25 million in cap space for the Raiders. And by the way, Vegas had the same problems the Chargers had, only worse. So, for example, if you liked the way Deshaun Hand would stop the run at defensive tackle, Vegas is moving to a 3-4 alignment, and Hand would fit. Moreover, the Raiders' offensive line was even worse than the Chargers' one was last year. But one place where that Raiders' offensive line was really an abomination, left guard, to establish running between the tackles for Ashton Jeanty. That's where Zion Johnson would be effective. I'm not making predictions. I'm just saying I hope that front office is ready to pony up some cash. Don't be surprised if you see some of your favorite players wearing silver and black, because they got the money to throw around. I am not above tainted victories. I am not too proud to beg. Just ask my wife. Hey-o! But the Galaxy's next opponent in CONCACAF Champions Cup, Mount Pleasant from Jamaica, will have trouble fielding a team, possibly, when they meet at Dignity Health Sports Park on Wednesday. Up to 10 players are having trouble getting visas. The team has 6 Haitians on the roster, but Haitians have been banned from entering the United States. And we don't talk politics, but you can pretty much figure out who would put the ban on that. The State Department, though, can issue exceptions for players who are entering the country to play in a major sporting event. So on one hand, I kind of assume this will all work itself out, but considering how my boys did last season, ain't too proud to beg. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me about what you think the Kings' grand plan actually is. For that matter, what would you do if you were with the Chargers trying to rebuild that team over the offseason? And if you enjoyed this update, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back probably later tonight with a Galaxy recap. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Cortel Queso production. Take care.